So, the Abominable Dr. Phibes was tagline, or had the note of this being Vincent Price's 100th film. This is a dark, this is campy, it's dark, it's humorous. Yes, there is some disturbing moments, but in the best way possible. This is like the most British horror comedy that I've ever seen. I know that's some British comedy. There's a lot of very dry humor, of which I don't excel at, but I take a particular interest in. Years after his wife has been deceased when 9 surgeons could have saved her, Phelps decides to get some revenge on the 9 surgeons to get revenge on them, but in quite a unique way. In the Ten Commandments, there are like, you have the flies, you have the frogs, the scorpions, and everything else, and he gets revenge on all of them in such gruesome, over the top, I would say either over the top ways, but also humorously applied, all while staying ahead of certain authorities, would be the word. So how does he go about doing it? Rather clever ways. Of course, with the first Doctor, some bats get released, and when the investigators come in the next day, there's some British humor. There's some humor going on. It's like, hey Morgan, where are you? Up here. Then the camera cuts and we see an inspector atop like his door banister searching up there. And then there are 2 more people searching, Trout and some other doctor whose name eludes me at this point. Guy goes in, and he's talking, then he comes out on the other side he has a particularly big nose. I don't know why, that nose just stood out. But, of course, Vincent Price here is freaking great. He is performing on an organ, which we're thinking is going to be like the Phantom of the Opera. He arises, he's got this magnificent black robe on. And, instead we see this animatronic band performing. And I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. It was like, he arises, he's playing I forgot what song is being performed here. And then we go back and we see him conducting against this wooden doll-ish animatronic band, and I'm like, what? Oh man, but it's just so gosh darn good. Yeah, of course, he was in a car accident and they thought that he was dead, but he returns to life. So he kind of wears the skin of someone, a precursor to Jigsaw, if you will. And he's got kind of, it's like he's got the mustache is better than it was in the Pendulum. So he's got like hair here and here and that. So it's like it's got a unique look along with the cape and everything. And I'm like, okay. So, he's going around getting revenge on them in particularly interesting ways, of course. There's some rats that are in an airplane, and as airplane is like, the Scottish Yard people are trying to reach out to him, but unfortunately the plane takes off, and right at that time some rats get introduced, and they go and they just completely annihilate the pilot, who's also one of the doctors. There's like a little golden spear that gets thrown, then on the other side there's a locust. It was perhaps the most yes, I'm spoiling a movie that's 50 years old. Like right at the end, there's this one female nurse. She gets it bad as she's sleeping. Phelps lays down what is that? I don't know, like, what would you, like, you have all those love dolls. Imagine that on a piece of paper. He's laying down, drills a hole through the head, brings down a tube, puts some acid on it, releases some scorpions, and then these scorpions just devour her. And yet she is supposed to be protected. Because they say, yeah, we have half the Scottish Yard, we have some boys, we have 4 cars stationed, and we have some plainclothes officers. But yet, this woman still goes out in quite the horrendous way. It was gruesome to look at. Oof. I mean, this man wants to get revenge, and he has every right to. You feel sympathetic for him, but at the same time, it's like you don't have to go that far. It's a plot that you've heard so many times, but here it's just done in such a way. Even with one of the inspectors named Trout, there's this. His superior is constantly caffeinated. So he's either calling him like pike or bass, other types of fish. So there's a little running joke in that. And it was like, hey, how dare you take my car? It's like, well, we had to go 90 kilometers an hour on the outskirts of town to get here. It might be fried. Then, like, right towards the end, the superior gets in the car, and then it just stalls or whatever. So that was pretty funny. And, it's like, and then at the end, and then, of course, at the very end, there's this Dr. Volusius or something like that, and he has to perform surgery. He has to go through, I think this may have, like I said, been a precursor to Saw. He has to retrieve, like, a key that is lodged in his son's heart by, performing the surgery, grasping the key, and then escaping him, all while acid is slowly coming down. And if he doesn't retrieve the key in 6 minutes, the acid will drown on his son. Yikes. So, yeah, there are some beginnings of, like, influence on the Saw devices, which is just, oof. Yeah, I mean, of course, with Henry coming back, Phibes is not able to speak, so what they did was have Vincent Price have something called collodine, something like that, which kept his mouth shut. He was still able to talk a little bit, and of course his lips were posted. His lines were added during all the post editing, but because of his unusual, but Price had an ability to memorize the lines of every single person that was in, like, every single actor and actress, so that helped. Because there was this guy named Joseph Cotton who said, he's like, you don't have to speak, Price, but yes, I also still know my lines. And off screen, a crew member would start to speak Prince's lines, so that way this other actor would be able to know exactly when to speak. So there was a little bit, and of course, Vincent also helped the Cotton person be able to relax by making funny faces with this. So yeah, this is definitely a true, unique movie. I liked it. It even features an ironic use of somewhere over the rainbow. It's like, it's like you hear that Hawaiian who has that ukulele. You hear Judy Garland's version, and then you hear just an ironic use of it at the end of the Abominable Dr. Phibes. You cannot make this stuff up. It's a very special film since it represents the actor at the zenith of his career, both as an icon of the horror genre and a long-standing villain of cinema going back to his contract days at Universal and 20th Century Fox. The character of Anton Phibes certainly owes a tip to the hat to this scarred genius Professor Jared from House of Wax. At least in vintage at any rate. The film is promoted as Vincent's winner of the film, which it was not, but it did represent the actor's life at American International Pictures, and for that is a crown jewel in both his career as well as AIP's catalog of remarkable films. Which is just, this is definitely a little bit more of British humor. So, that's not going to appeal to everyone, because when you have all the, is there anything else in here? and you have more of the macabre aspects going on. But when it's done with such conviction, you just gotta like it. It's a good funny movie if you like dark humor, and that's what this movie is. It's a very dark-ish humor. And of course, Price was liked. He liked collecting fine art, and there's also a scene where his character's cooking some Brussels sprouts and broccoli. Price was also a lover of cooking, so that was nice to see nods towards his professional life. So yeah, if you got a movie with a very interesting sense of humor, and dry wit, and it gets macabre a little bit, I do recommend that you watch The Abominable Dr. Phibes.